Hey guys, I hope you've enjoyed the last couple of tutorials for you. Obviously our last tutorial was doing a dialogue system. So we had it so we could do a cutscene system. One before that was our scrolling background, and then obviously we did the shooting tutorial. So today I want to do a nice, clean, easy tutorial for you guys, and it's a moving platform. So what's going to happen is we are going to move a platform from left to right or right to left. Our player is going to jump on the platform and then become attached to that platform until we jump off. It's very easy to do. You can actually flip it so that you can do it up and down too. But for now, we're just going to work on left to right. The script stays the same, it's just the animation's changed. So let's just quickly get started. So we come into our Unity, and this is the platform we want to move. So we can have the platform go left to right, or we can move it up and down. So up and down, up and down. The script stays the same, it's just this actual animation changes. So let me reset that to 0. So if we add component and give it a rigid body 2D, change this to kinematic. You need to have a rigid body 2D or this isn't going to work. So once you've got your 2D rigid body, is you go to your script folder, make a new script, and let's call it moving platform. I've already made one, let's delete that because we don't need it. So we call this moving platform. And let's just attach this to our game object. And I know what it's done there. So let's just attach this to the moving object. What we want to do is first animate this. So we go to our animation folder, and if you can't find that, just go to Window, Animation, click Create, go to Assets, Animations, make a new folder and call it Platforms. It's already there for me. Create animations, platforms, and then we're going to call this one R1P1 because it's level 1 platform 1. Just replace that. Set your samples to 12, and then let's just hit the record button here. So now that the record button's been hit, as soon as we change something, it then adds a keyframe. So let's reset that to 0. Let's just put that in the center here. So we want our platform to start in this position. We then want it to take about 2 seconds roughly to go to our next platform. So 2 seconds, so 12 plus 12, 24. We head over to 24 seconds, which is 24 frames, which is 2 seconds. We can then actually move this. So let's say 24, move this along, and it's there. So at 2 seconds it should move along. And then at 4 seconds we want to be back at here. So 4 seconds, 24 plus 24 is 48. So at 48 we then move this back here, and it should now play. So hit records again to stop it recording any actions, hit play, and there you go. So that's our moving platform. We can also move it up and down if we wanted to. We just reverse the action to up and down instead of left to right. So now that we've got the animation, let's head into our scripts folder. Let's open up that moving platform script we just created and get rid of the start and update function, not needed. Let's start coding a script. So first we need a private variable, private vector 3 velocity, private boolean called moving, and that is moving. Make a private function which is on collision enter 2D, and we say an if statement. So if collision dot game object dot tag equal to player. Then so if the colliding object is tagged as the player, so obviously our player has the player tag, so we click on player here, it's tagged as player. So when the player hits that platform, this will happen. So what's going to happen is we're going to set moving to true, so we are now moving, and then we're saying collision dot collider dot transform dot set parents transform. So what's going to happen here is the player, or whatever object is tagged as player, will then become the child object of the transform, so of the moving platform. So alt moves the player to the child object of the platform, and then we make a new function, private void on collision exit 2D. So this is when we exit the collider. We then set the moving to false, so moving is no longer happening, so we want to set that to false. Set moving to false. Then collision dot collider dot transform dot set parent null, and this just moves the player out of the game object, so the player is no longer the child object. And then we make a final function, private void fixed update, and then what we say is if moving is equal to true, so if we are moving, so if we are moving, then transform dot position plus equals velocity times time dot delta time. So player moves along with the platform, and that just allows the player to move along with the platform and stay stuck to the platform. So if we head back into Unity, I can show you what's actually happening here. When our player jumps onto this platform, he then becomes a child object of the moving platform. Okay, so let me just hit play and I can show you. So our player moves along. Jumps on, and now it moves along with it. We can obviously move ourselves, but then we can jump on and off. So that works great. Let's reverse this now and go up and down instead. So let me just go to the animations. Let's make a new animation. So we just click clip new, assets, animations, platforms, and we'll just call this R1P2. And instead of, in fact, let's not do that. Let's let's go into our animations, platforms. Let's delete that one, and let's move this platform up and down here. So we're just animation, create new animation, R1 P2. And let's move this up and down instead. So very simple. I just want to do this so I can just show you the difference. Add a component, rigid body 2D is kinematic, which is fine. And then change this sample to 12. We'll start the animation down here, say around here. and then by frame 12 we want him to be here. By frame 24 we want it to be up here, and then 24, 34, 36 frames we want it to be back in the middle. So 36 frames, we just grab this and then we Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then finally our 48 frames you want to grab this last one and just paste again to it down the bottom. Hit the record button to end and just hit play, so it goes up and back down again, and goes up and back down again. Go to our project, go to our scripts, drag the moving platform on, and then hit play and watch what happens. So our player now attaches to that. We've got two problems though. The first problem is that the camera isn't following our player up and down. Now, if you don't want it to follow the player up and down, that's fine, but some of you may want to do that. So in order to do that, we just need to update the camera script. So open our camera controller, and in our camera controller we've got this here. This distance to move is the player dot transform dot position X. Dot position X means it's working on the left to right axis, the horizontal axis. We need to work with the vertical axis, so we just change this to Y. So we copy this and we paste, we change this to Y, change this to Y, and we need to change distance to move to Y here. Distance to move Y, copy this private float, paste it and change that to Y. Control S to save, and then here we've got transform.position.x plus distance to move transform.position.y. We also need to add in here plus distance to move Y, and that will allow the camera to move up and down. So let's just hit play and let's see what happens. Yes, so our character now moves up and down, which is great. However, we've got more problems. You notice the snow is stopping here. So the snow stops here. So all we need to do is very simply go to our backgrounds and then our midground, Control D to duplicate, move it down, around about here. On the Z axis, reverse it 190 degrees, 380 degrees, move it down so it's aligned nicely, and then I will probably duplicate again. So Control D to duplicate again, move it down so it covers the snow, and I would set it in layer -3 just so it's on top. You can also duplicate the top of the sky. However, I have in my main camera set the background to be the same color as the sky, so it's not really needed. You can do it if you like, and maybe you can't copy the background. In fact, let's do it just in case your particular background doesn't allow you to adapt to the color. So Control D to duplicate the sky and just move the sky up there. And because our tiling script is attached to these will also parallax, and they will also keep tiling along, which is great. So hit play. I'm going to die because I've just missed my jump. But yes, now our background's also in. Bear in mind, if you want to do anything underneath here, our player will probably die just before we hit these bottom trees. Okay, So if you're going to do any extra elements underneath, bear that in mind that we do have a cut-off point to where the player will die, and you can change that in your life manager script, I believe it is, or it's in your player script, I believe. It's in one of them scripts. If that's what you want to edit, you can do so. Otherwise, leave it as bait. That doesn't matter. So that's our nicely done moving platforms. Now let's do a bouncing platform, and this is super easy. All we do is we go to our assets folder, make a new folder. Let's call this folder physics. And then inside the physics folder, make a new physics material 2D and just call this bounce. Okay, on this little object here, you see where it's got box collider 2D material, just drag the bounce over into here. Double click the bounce to open it, and let's set the bounce to 10. See what happens when we set it to 10. Hit play. Jump, jump, jump. You see how this has given me a bit of a challenge already? So adding moving platforms does give your game a challenge, because now I got to know when to do that. And we just hit our bounce, and its bounce is way too high. So if we set the bounce to 1, this should allow us to now bounce. Now when we hit our platform, we're now bouncing. And that is how easy it is to add the bounce on. So I hope that was interesting for you guys. I hope that helped you out a bit more. You now know how to do a bouncing platform and a moving platform too. Next tutorial, I want to be able to do a save system with you and then just tidy up your UI, and that should be you all set for your study week. Okay, good. Thank you.